Okay, so we're going to continue our coverage over the dawn of DC, where we pick up with the Supergirl Special. Now, let me admit this real quick. I truly thought this was going to continue the idea of the possibility of Supergirl dying down the road in DC Comics. And what I mean by that is, back in the Doomsday Special, we had learned that Doomsday became the king of hell, and he was slowly working his way back to Earth. But thanks to Supergirl and Martian Manhunter, they were able to stop him. Now, we were left to believe that sooner or later, he could come back on Earth to wreak havoc. And I said in that video, I feel like Supergirl is going to be the one to die this time, not Superman. And so when it came to the Supergirl Special, I felt like it was going to continue the storyline, the idea of Supergirl dying down the road in DC Comics. This book right here does not do that at all. And so we come to find out that this book is really more about the idea of how does Supergirl fit in with the rest of the Superman family? And what I mean by that is, over the years, the family, the Superman family, has truly grown a lot. You got Superman, you got Superman Jonathan Kent, you got Superboy, you got Steel, his niece, the twins. The list goes on and on and on. But recently, you also got Power Girl again. Now, when it comes to Power Girl, she is a tad bit confusing. And when it comes to Power Girl, her origin is a tad bit interesting. And what I mean by that is, Power Girl is from the original DC universe. And what I mean by that is, in the 1940s, when DC first came out, they were building their universe. Now, that universe got labeled as Earth 2. But by the 1950s, we got a brand new universe that got labeled Earth 1. But when it came to both universes, neither one had a Supergirl. Now, Earth 1 got theirs first, and that is the original Supergirl in the 1950s. But in the 1970s, Earth 2 finally got their Supergirl, which is Power Girl. Here's the thing, because thanks to Crisis on Infinite Earth, as we all know, the multiverse was destroyed, and we got left with just one brand new universe. And when it came to Power Girl, her universe was killed off, and so technically she was the sole survivor of her universe. But when it came to DC Comics, they want to make sure that Superman was the only survivor of Krypton. And so when it came to Power Girl, they said no, she is not Kryptonian, she's some kind of Atlantean or some kind of strange origin story. Because again, they want to make sure that Superman was the sole survivor. Now, thanks to Infinite Crisis, that kind of slowly brought back the multiverse. That's when she realized that no, she is Kryptonian, but at the same time, she is the sole survivor of her dead universe. Now, in the present time, she's kind of been missing for a little while, but now she's back in the picture. But the problem is though, you have this Earth Supergirl also back in the picture. And so you have two Supergirls from two separate universes living in the same universe. And when it comes to Earth 1 Supergirl, Kara, she's having a hard time dealing with the idea of Power Girl being around, an older version of herself. But getting back over to Kara, things do get a tad bit more interesting. And what I mean by that is, she is confronted by Otho-Ra and Oso-Ra. Now, these are the twins that Clark and Lois had adopted recently in Superman comics. Now, with that being said, they're coming to Supergirl to ask, how was Krypton like? Because technically, in the entire Superman family, Supergirl is the only person who has an idea of what Krypton was like. Clark was a baby right before he was sent away, before Krypton blew up. And so when it comes to Kara, she feels like, okay, let me tell you different things about Krypton, or about the city I grew up in. The problem is though, she's having a hard time remembering about her home world, her home city. And that is a problem for her, because that's where she came from. She should have all her memories about that one certain place, but unfortunately, she does not. And it scares her, because now she believes that she is beginning the process of forgetting where she came from. Now we come to find out that it is Sunday, and apparently on Sundays, the Superman family come together for dinner. Now when it comes to the rest of the family, they're having a good time, except for Supergirl. And the reason why, because she's beginning to realize that she does not remember her home world, her hometown, and that scares her a lot. Now once you have everybody kind of get their dinner, have their fun, they all go their separate ways. Except that is the moment you have Jonathan Kent come over to her and say, hey, are you okay? Because it seems like something is wrong with you, which honestly, there is something wrong with her. And she tells him, I think I'm forgetting about my home world, my hometown, Krypton. I grew up there. I'm the only person that was able to do that. Why in the world am I forgetting where I came from? And so this is where you have Jonathan kind of help her remember what her home world was like. How was Krypton? How was your city? How was your life as a teenager back then? And so this is where you have Jonathan Kent sit down with Supergirl to help her remember what Argo City was like. And so thanks to him, she was able to remember about Argo City, about Krypton, but she also remembers a time where she used to run track. Now here's the thing, because she felt like because she was the fastest, the best, that she should have won that race. The problem was at first she was, but by the end of the race, she lost. The young girl was able to catch up to her and then pass her and then win the race. And that is Supergirl's problem right there. She hates the idea of being second. She hates the idea of losing. And so when it comes to Power Girl, she feels like sooner or later, the Superman family is going to forget about her and focus on Power Girl, just an alternate version of herself who could be stronger, could be faster, could be smarter. And that scares Supergirl a lot. And so at the end of this conversation with Jonathan Kent, she just runs off because she hates the idea of opening up, but at the same time, she hates the idea of admitting that she feels like she's worthless when it comes to the rest of the Superman family. Now, when Supergirl does go back home to get some sleep, unfortunately, she does have a nightmare. Now, when it comes to this nightmare, it's right when she was about to see Krypton get blown up, but luckily her parents were able to get her inside a spaceship and fly her away to Earth. But the thing is, that's the one thing she keeps remembering. It's the one thing that constantly comes back to her mind. Watching Argo City fall apart. Watching Krypton fall apart. Now, Supergirl does get waken up by a call from the Superman family because apparently a random building got hit with some bombs. And so you do have a lot of injured people right now who need help, but at the same time, this building is falling apart. And so some debris might fall on top of certain people, innocent people. And so you have Supergirl go help out, except when she does arrive, Power Girl is there as well. And that bothers her a lot because again, she hates the idea of being the weaker version of herself. She feels like sooner or later, Power Girl is going to replace her. Now, once our heroes were able to kind of deal with the building, you then have Supergirl hear someone calling out for help. Here's the thing. No one is calling out for help at all. And so she begins to fly to the top of the building, except when she does, we realize that a huge chunk of debris is coming off the building and beginning to fall down to the ground. Now, when it comes to Power Girl, she does try to help Supergirl handle this debris, but again, when it comes to Supergirl, she hates the idea of Power Girl because she feels like she is the weaker version. And so she does push Power Girl away to say, I can handle this on my own. Unfortunately, she was barely able to. And so once she does crash back in the ground, you have Supergirl just sit there. But when she does sit there, she begins to wonder, maybe I am the weaker version of myself. Maybe I do deserve to get replaced. Maybe I'm not good at all. And so when it comes to Power Girl, she just sits there in the middle of the city thinking back to that track meet she had back in Argo City on Krypton. Because remember, she lost that race. Well, we kind of find out that because she lost that race, she feels like a failure because she was not good enough to win that race. And apparently right now, she is having that same feeling all over again with Power Girl being around. But at the same time, there are other reasons why she feels like that she is a failure when it comes to the rest of the Superman family. Now, when Supergirl does get back home to her apartment, she is confronted by Lois Lane, of course, Superman's wife, but a close friend of Supergirl. And when it comes to Lois, she realized that, hey, I realize that you have been depressed for the last couple weeks now. What in the world is going on? And when it comes to Supergirl, she says, the reason why I'm so sad right now because I feel like I'm a failure, that I'm not good enough to accomplish anything at all. There was a track meet. She lost that track meet. But then we come to find out what is the other reason. It comes to Superman. And what I mean by that is when it came to Superman and Supergirl, they both left Krypton at the same time, except Superman was a baby and she was a teenager. But her task was to help protect her cousin, her baby cousin, except she got stuck in space. He made it Earth, he grew up, and she did not. And so when she finally arrived on Earth, he was no longer a baby. He was now a grown man. And so she felt like she failed again when it came to protecting him. And so you have Lois say, you didn't fail though. Yes, he did come here alone, but he met the Kents. They loved him, they raised him, and he became a great man. You didn't fail. But here's the thing. You arrived, and you arrived at the right time to become the thing you needed to be, which is Supergirl. So stop beating yourself up over the idea that you fail, because sometimes you will fail, but you have to get back up again and try again and keep fighting on. Everybody fails, no matter what, at least once in their lives. And so after Lois Lane leaves, you didn't have Power Girl arrive. Now, the reason why Power Girl is here because she realized that there is something wrong with Supergirl. And she's right. Except you have Supergirl say, I understand that it's not easy for me, but it's also not easy for you as well. And she's right because you have to realize both these characters have to deal with the idea that there is an alternate version of themselves just running around the world at the same time they are. It's so hard to do the idea that you might run into yourself. And so you have Supergirl say, I felt like I was the weaker version and I can't deal with that. But then she has a flashback to what her father told her, that sometimes you're going to lose, that nobody was built to be perfect, that you were built for a certain way to accomplish your destiny down the road. And so with her kind of having that flashback, she says, you know what? My father was right, that I may have not been built to win everything put in front of me or to accomplish all my goals. But I do have a destiny, and maybe that destiny is to be here with you, to work with you, to help you protect this world, but to also show that you do have somebody you can come to and talk to if you ever need to. And so this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. Yeah, this book was kind of weird. I was hoping for more, but at the same time, it's still a somewhat good storyline. Either way, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So guys, see y'all next time. Later.